Hello and welcome to the presentation on the new features in Freezerwork Unlimited 5.1. I'm Rick Michaels, the Vice President of Marketing and Customer Relations. Here at Freezerworks, we're very excited about the new features in 5.1, and I want to give you an example of what you can look forward to as you look into upgrading. Let's start with Configure Freezers. Some of the new things we have in Configure Freezers is we've taken away the need to create what we call virtual freezers. Virtual freezer is when you've broken your freezer into multiple sections because of the different setups your freezer has. What we've done now is given you the ability to take your virtual freezers and put them together. So what we do is we merge your virtual freezer into an actual physical freezer. So as you upgrade, existing freezers are upgraded as freezer sections and one freezer with one freezer section. Then these freezer sections, your freezer, can be attached together to create one physical freezer. So here's an example of virtual freezers from our user's manual. You can see that the top shelf is made up of stacks of micro-titer plates, whereas the rest of the freezer has a more standard 9-box racks, each with a 9x9 freezer box. So what we've had to do is create two virtual freezers, a freezer called Shelf 1 and a freezer called Shelves 2 through 5, both in a freezer we named Freezer 2. Let's go to version 5.1, which has been upgraded from 5.0, and we're now going to take these two virtual freezers and create one freezer. We're going to put them together to create one Freezer 2. So we have our physical freezer, and during the upgrade, every freezer has been created as a section, freezer section, within the physical freezer, so that these sections can be put together back into the original physical freezer as sections of that freezer. So here we see the Shelf 1 section of Freezer 2, and we also have a physical freezer, Shelves 2 through 5, with its own section, Shelf 2 through 5. What we want to do now is put these two freezers back together. As you can see in Explorer Freezer, there are two separate freezers with two separate freezer sections. But we can put these two sections together into one freezer again by merging them. We're going to do that now. Back to System Admin, and in the freezer section we'll go to Merge Freezers. So step 1 is to highlight the freezer that we want to merge from the list of freezers here on the left. We want to merge Freezer 2, 2 through 5, this freezer section here. We're going to merge it into Freezer 2 Physical by selecting it in the Move to Freezer, like so. This will put the two freezers together when we select Move. Let's go ahead, and at this point we want to delete the old freezer since it's now empty. And now we can see that we have one Freezer 2 Physical. And as we open it up, here we see that we have Shelf 1 and Shelves 2 through 5, all in one freezer. The freezer section has been moved. We confirm it. And now let's go back and take a look in Explore Freezers, and we can see that the move has been successful. Let's go back to Configure Freezers and take another look at our Freezer 2. Our physical freezer now has both freezer sections in it. We also have up and down buttons to move them into the proper order if they're not in the proper order. We've also added features in freezers, such as the ability to save your freezer section configurations. as well as enhancing box maps. Box maps can be configurable by the freezer as well as the freezer sections. Let's look at those now. We'll start with location defaults. And here you can set the color of fill positions based on the value of a selected field. You can tell Freezerworks to only fill adjacent positions during auto assign. So if you have a sample with 7 aliquots and you want to keep these aliquots together, you don't want them separated within the freezer, you can tell Freezerworks to go find the next 7 contiguous spaces and assign the samples, the vials, into that space. You can also select the display fields in Explore Freezers and box maps for any type of freezer that you have. You're not restricted to one field in those displays where you're looking at certain boxes and you want in one field displayed, one key field. You can set up different fields. You can display whatever field you need to see at the time when you're going through Explore Freezers. And each freezer section has its own defaults. Here we see the Location Defaults tab in the freezer sections. We can see that yellow is the fill position, the default position. If I'm looking at a box, if the cell is yellow, that means that cell is filled with a vial. And then I can also change the color based on a field within Freezerworks. So I've selected here a user-defined field called aliquot type, and I've given different colors based on the different aliquot types. So I can, for example, see that all the red aliquots may be plasma, all the yellow ones may be serum, all the blue ones may be cells. And then down here I tell Freezerworks that for this freezer section, fill adjacent positions during auto assign. If I want to, I select that here. And here I can tell it which key field to display when scrolling through our freezers and boxes in the Explore Freezers option. So let's demonstrate now. Let's go back to Configure Freezers. And here's our list of freezers. And we're going to select Freezer 1 Physical. This has 3 different sections of different configurations, including a bottom shelf in which we're only holding bags. We're going to go to Location Default tab up above and show you how you can color your aliquots based on any user-defined field. We've selected aliquot type here, and for every aliquot type we've assigned a color. This is for this Freezer 1 Physical, but we can also do the same thing for a section within the freezer, plasma and serum here. Let's now show you how this works, and we'll go to Explore Freezer to open up a box map. Here at Explore Freezer, we'll open up Freezer 1. Let's go to Section 1 and open up Box. And we can see that the aliquots in that box are colored based on the aliquot type that's being stored in the box. And then in Section 2, where we store plasma and serum only, we have a different color scheme. And as we open up that section, we can see this different scheme. The fields you use and the colors you use can be system-wide or freezer and freezer section specific. And you can also at any time change the field to display with the aliquot. And you do that here.